I had to stand in their mouth.
Nope.
Now, Dr. DeSoto, the dentist, did very good work. So he had no end of patients. I mean, those who were close to his own side, like moles and chipmunks, etc., well, they sat in a regular dentist chair. Now, the larger animals, like you can see here, sat on the floor, while Dr. DeSoto stood on a ladder. Now, for extra large animals, he had a special room. There, Dr. DeSoto was hoisted up to the patient's mouth by his assistant, who also happened to be his wife. That's right. It's good to have your wife or your husband as an assistant. Now, Dr. DeSoto was especially popular with the big animals. I mean, he was able to work inside their mouths wearing rubbers to keep his feet dry. And his fingers were so delicate and his drill so dainty, they could hardly feel any pain. Now, of course, being a mouse, he refused to treat animals dangerous to mice. So it said so on his sign. Cats and other dangerous animals not accepted for treatment. I mean, really, can you blame him?
No.
When the doorbell rang, he and his wife would look out the window. They would not even admit even the most timid mouse. But one day, when they looked out, they saw a very well-dressed fox with a flannel bandage around his jaw. "Sorry, no, can't treat you," Dr. DeSoto shouted. "Sir, haven't you read the sign?" "Oh, please, please," the fox wailed. "Have mercy. I am suffering so." And he wept so bitterly. I mean, it was really pitiful to see. "Just a moment," said Dr. DeSoto. He whispered to his wife, "You know, that poor fox. Oh, what should we do?" Mrs. DeSoto, she saw that poor fox suffering. She said, "Let's risk it." And so she pressed the buzzer and let the fox in. He was up the stairs in a flash. Oh, bless your heart. Bless your hearts," he cried to his knees. "I beg you, do something, do something. Oh, my tooth is killing me." "Okay, sit here on the floor," said Dr. DeSoto, and remove the bandage, please." Dr. DeSoto climbed up the ladder and bravely entered that fox's mouth. "Ooh, wow," he gasped. The fox had a rotten bicuspid and unusually bad breath. "Oh, I'm sorry, but the tooth will have to come out," Dr. DeSoto announced. "But we can make you a new one." Oh, anything, just stop the pain," whimpered the fox, wiping away some tears. Now, despite his misery, he realized he had a tasty little morsel in his mouth. Oh, and his jaw began to quiver. Keep open, wide open, open your mouth wide," yelled Dr. DeSoto. "Wide open," yelled his wife. "Okay, I'm going to give you some gas now," said Dr. DeSoto. "You won't feel a thing when I yank that tooth." And soon, the fox was in dreamland. "Yummy," he mumbled. "Oh, how I love them raw. With just a pinch of salt and a dry white wine." Well, they could guess what he was dreaming about.
He was dreaming about the mouse's.
Oh, yeah. Now, Mrs. DeSoto handed her husband a pole to keep the fox's mouth wide open so that when he was dreaming, it shouldn't suddenly close. Now, Dr. extractor to the bad tooth. Then he and his wife began turning the winch and turning the winch and turning the winch until finally, with a sucking sound, the tooth popped out and hung swaying in the air. Oh, I'm bleeding, the fox yelped when he came to. Now, Dr. DeSoto ran up the ladder and stuffed some gauze in the hole. No, don't worry, the worst is over. I'll have your new tooth ready tomorrow. Be here at 11 sharp. Okay. The fox was still woozy. He said goodbye and he left. On his way home, he wondered if it would be kind of shabby of him to eat the DeSotos after when the job was done and he had his new tooth. Now, after office hours, Mrs. DeSoto molded a tooth of pure gold and polished it. Raw with salt indeed, muttered Dr. DeSoto. How foolish to trust a fox. Oh, dear, he was under the influence of the gas. He didn't know what he was saying to Mrs. DeSoto. I mean, after all, what should he harm us? Nothing him, right? Yeah. Why should he harm us? Because he's a fox, said Dr. DeSoto. You know, they're wicked, wicked creatures. Now, that night, the DeSotos lay awake worrying. I don't know, should we let him in tomorrow? I know he's an appointment at 11, but should we let him in? But you know, once I start a job, said the dentist firmly, I finish it. My father was the same way. But we must do something to protect ourselves, said his wife. They talked and they talked until they formed a plan. I think it will work, said Dr. DeSoto. And a minute later, he was sleeping. Of course, the next morning, promptly at 11, a very cheerful fox turned up. He was not feeling a particle of pain. When Dr. DeSoto got into his mouth, he snapped it shut for a moment. Then opened it wide and laughed. Just a joke, he chortled. Okay, now, be serious, said the dentist sharply. We have work to do. His wife was lugging the heavy tooth up the ladder. Oh, I love it, exclaimed the fox. It's just beautiful. Dr. DeSoto set the gold tooth in its socket and hooked it up on the teeth on both sides of it. The fox caressed the new tooth with his tongue. Oh my, it feels good. Oh yeah. And then he thought, I really shouldn't eat them. But on the other hand, how can I resist? We're not finished, excuse me, said Dr. DeSoto, holding up a large jug. Right here, I have a remarkable preparation developed only recently by my wife and me. With just one application, you can be rid of toothaches forever. How would you like to be the very first one to receive this treatment? Oh, yeah, you remember how much it hurt. I certainly would, the fox declared. I would be honored. He really personally hated any kind of personal pain. Well, you will never have to see us again, said Dr. DeSoto. Yeah, that's right. No one will ever see you again, said the fox to himself. Now, he had definitely made up his mind to eat them with the help of his brand new tooth. Dr. DeSoto stepped into the fox's mouth with a bucket of the secret formula and proceeded to paint each tooth. He hummed as he worked. Mrs. DeSoto, meanwhile, stood on the ladder, pointing out spots. You missed one right there. No, they're over on the left. You missed a little spot there, too. And the fox looked very happy. When the dentist was done, he stepped out. He said, okay, now close your jaws tight and keep them closed for a full minute. And of course, the fox did as he was told. Then he tried to open his mouth, and his teeth are stuck together. Oh, did I forget to mention that? Oh, yes, I should have mentioned that, said Dr. DeSoto. You won't be able to open your mouth for a day or two. The secret formula must penetrate the dentine. But don't worry. Remember, no pain ever again. The fox was stunned. He stared at Dr. DeSoto and then at his wife, and they smiled and waited. And all he could do was say, "Thank you very much," through his clenched teeth, and got up and left. He tried to do so with dignity. Then he stumbled down the stairs in a daze. And as for Dr. DeSoto and his assistant, well, they had outfoxed the fox. They kissed each other and took the rest of the day off. Thank you very much.